Hey everybody, it's your girl Jasmine, aka the Queen Bee of the Bee Party Podcast, and I am so excited to be speaking with Eric Williams, also known as BenG from the LPC. He is a phenomenal artist as well as the founder of Dope Paradigm. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to our listeners at this time.
What's up, Jazz? Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm Eric Williams, aka BenG from the LPC, owner operator of Dope Paradigm LLC. Pretty much, that's where my apps are made. That's where we making music. Just doing anything creative, merch. It just making something out of nothing. That's what it's about. Taking ideas and making them into reality.
Absolutely. And I'm so honored to have you on my podcast today because Eric is someone who I have been knowing pretty much my whole life. We're from the same exact neighborhood. And over the years, you have always been just this very creative person and awesome force in music. So it's just so nice to see that you still are, using the music industry as well to help promote your business and push it to the next level. So that is something that is very, very exciting. So I'm gonna let you go ahead on and tell everyone what is Dope Paradigm.
Yeah, I know, Jazz. It's what, shoo, elementary school. It's
A
our
very
whole
long
life,
time. Yep.
same block, same hood. So, when you invited me, I was like, absolutely, no question. I'm on
And I
there. Any way to
appreciate you.
support.
Thank you.
But Dope Paradigm to me pretty much is just a company that represents creating because me, my whole life, as you said, I've created music. I've done tons of things with friends when it comes down to music, but I've always been interested in code and computers. I've always just been good at computers. When we used to record back in the day in the FEMA trailers after Katrina, I was the one who had the computer, who did all the recording, got all the rappers together and made everything work. So I've just always been good with computers, but I always wondered what was that next level of computing. And that's when
Right.
I started getting into code and things like that. And dope paradigm is pretty much, it means dope from hip hop. So the
Mhm.
mentality of how I release music from hip hop, but also the paradigm of code, because in code you have a thing called different paradigms.
Right.
So that's what is combining the two things together to bring music and code together.
So how long did it take you to teach yourself how to code?
Now that's a funny story. So the first time I actually, like I ain't trying to take no shots, but Salmon didn't show us code. I didn't even know it
Absolutely not.
existed.
They didn't.
So they did not.
They did not.
I had one class where we did the website for the actual school website, but dude
Mhm.
didn't teach nothing. He was a terrible teacher. I don't remember his name, and it looked like MySpace. So to me, he didn't actually explain what we was doing. He just would tell us to go in there and change a picture, which to me looked no different than changing the picture on MySpace.
Right.
So I didn't know that's what that was. I always thought to code you had to be some genius, or it just came like that. I didn't know it was a thing. So I think it was like the iPhone 4 when they announced it in the summer. That's when Apple does the events,
Right.
WWDC. They showed the phone, but then the guys kept talking and then they started just showing code. And I'm just sitting there like, wait, so you could just learn code and somebody can just learn it on their own and then make an app? I thought that was crazy. So mind you, that was 2012, probably, something like that. So technically, long story short, it took me about 6 years just to convince myself I can code. It took me about 6 weeks to actually do it. So the
Wow.
hardest part was just convincing myself I could,
Right. Getting out of your
because
own head.
that was it. Because where we come from, I don't know about you, I don't know any coders. I don't know anybody that writes code. So it's
Right.
like, to me, I never saw it. So I didn't think I could for a long time, but eventually I kept going. I kept tapping at it. I tried a few times, would stop. I would try, would stop. But then eventually I got to a point where I just did not stop until I figured it out.
Right.
And the rest is history.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I definitely don't know much about coding, but being a part of the NOLA STEM educators, we do robotics. And so with the
Right.
robots that we bring into the schools, we have to learn a little bit of coding. And even with that, it's tedious, but it is something that like trial and error. So I just know
Uh-huh.
how much time it takes to put into it to push it forward. So that is so amazing that you taught yourself how to code because I had to have someone help me with that. So
Yeah.
I know the difference. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's like a wonderful gift that you had. So, what made you come up with the concept for moving from the music industry into pushing towards doing the coding for those music apps?
Well, it kind of transitioned because I always felt that there was an opportunity to display an artist's talent in a different medium
Mhm.
outside of Apple Music, Spotify, and Tidal. Those platforms are perfect,
Right.
they don't always show what the artist can do. It feels like you got to go here to listen to their music, you got to go here to see what that person is, and then you got to go to YouTube to watch them do things. And I always just was like, why can't there just be a one-stop shop where I can just see my favorite artists doing what they want to do, and then
And
it'd
all
be
of the
even
different
better.
platforms.
Right, right. Okay, if it bounces out to the platform, cool. But I've also thought, wouldn't it be even better if the artist had their hand in it? Somebody's just not making it for them.
Okay.
So it just pushed me to wonder. And the new app that I'm about to come out with next month on April 2nd. Shout out to Mark D. This is the guy I've released a whole lot of music with. And
Hmm.
one day I was trying to listen to his beats, and the website kept locking up. And this was not, granted, this was 6 weeks after I had just learned codes. I'm feeling myself. And I hit him up and I was like, bro, what if you had your own app? And he was like, man, that'd be amazing. It's like that. I'm about to work on it. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But lo and behold, I just kept tapping at it. And now we're about to release our first major app. And, the rest, we'll see what happens.
So for you, your ideal clientele, who's the like your dope paradigm is geared towards who? Like who are the people that you're targeting?
Small businesses, but mainly artists. I'll work with anybody. Honestly, I kind of feel too, uh, if anybody just had a question about an app, because that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing. Everybody wants an app, but most people are fine with a website. Because an app, what I came to learn, it's a lot of maintenance. It's a lot of things you got to do with it. Sometimes there's been people that will ask me about an app, and I tell them honestly, all you need is squarespace.com, and you'll get everything done that you need to do.
Right.
So apps still take a lot of effort and a lot of people to manage it. But me myself, I know what I'm passionate about. My heart will be we usually music related apps because
Okay.
that's what I've always done. But I'm always open to helping, talking to somebody about an app or pointing them in the right direction because sometimes that's all you need.
Gotcha. So I'm happy to hear that because with this business buzz segment that I have been doing, I have been giving a lot of small businesses an opportunity to shed light on what they have to offer so that they can get the exposure that they need, but also so that people from different parts of the world can also take part in that practice with them. So with that being said, I know you're in Texas, right?
Yes.
So I know you're in Texas. So if someone was not in Texas but they wanted to work with you, how would that happen? Like how can they go about getting in contact with you so that they can possibly create this app?
Easily, dopeparadigm.com. Like, just you can go straight to the website. There's a contact link. Hit me on Instagram. I'm always on Instagram, and we can just see what happens. Because the hardest part about an app is that even though, because that's what I messed up with, not messed up, but I thought with Mark D's app that
Hmm.
it was just going to be a simple process, and it wasn't. So, but now that I've gone through the process, I know how to do it again, and
Right.
it's more or less okay. You want to do this, this has to happen first
Right.
before you can get there. And I am making an app for my uncle who has a NDT business, which is something for construction. So
Hmm.
I am making other apps outside of music. It's just more or less we would have to have a lot of conversations beforehand to even know if this thing is real, or do you
Right.
just need a website? Because that's always the thing. Do you need a website
Or do
or
you
do you
need
need
an
an
app?
app? Yeah,
Gotcha. So that means that people can be all over and you still would be able to service them.
absolutely.
Good, perfect. So if there are any small businesses out there that are wondering if they want to, maybe go the app route, but they just need to get some information, this would be a wonderful person for you guys to contact. So please make sure that you guys check out dopeparadigm.com. I will be sure to list all of the contact information in the description box as well. So with that being said, I know a lot of people thought you moved to Atlanta and you just mentioned Texas. So what happened with the Atlanta thing? How did you go from Atlanta to Texas?
Yeah, so Atlanta did not work out. Atlanta chewed me up and spit me out. But that was just one of those growth things that, you
Mhm.
have to go through. That's when I was chasing music hard and my ego brought me to Atlanta. But, as Wayne Dyer says, ego stands for edging God out. And I wasn't going for the right reasons.
Right.
So it didn't work out. Ended up coming back to Slidell, having to start over at 30 years old. And then that's when it kind of just got to the point where, I felt everything was stripped as far as music from me.
Mhm.
So that's when code came in and it gave me that light and that out and that way to create. And
Yeah.
now, working, getting back on my feet, getting to Texas. Now I have that still all this knowledge from music, and now I have this new knowledge from code. and pushing them two together. So yeah, Atlanta didn't work out. It was fun, you know. I met a lot of good
Right.
people, made a lot of good connects, but you know, I went there for all the wrong reasons.
And so now look at you, you know, you took that situation and turned it around and you used your love for music to help you delve deeper into something else that also grasp your attention, which was coding. So sometimes, you know, in life, which is something that I talk about on this podcast, you know, we get put in very precarious situations where we're like, I don't know how this is going to work out for me, but I saw it one way. And it's like what your vision is and what God's vision is for your life don't always necessarily meet. But once you
Right.
start getting back on that path, your true trajectory comes to form, and then he starts to lay out the path for you in the foundation. It's like, look at this, everything is starting to
Yep.
check out. So that's an
Yep.
amazing testimony and something that, you know, we needed to hear because myself, I'm turning 30 and I'm about to make a complete like 180 as far as my career is concerned. But I'm like, I'm never too old to go and just do what I have to do for me. So this time I'm
Yeah.
like, I did it for you guys. Now I'm doing it for me. So I totally
Yeah.
understand where you're coming
It's
from.
funny. It's funny you say that because I actually is hindsight is always 2020. I literally have a song on one of my albums called "You," where I was saying,
Mhm.
"I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you." And when I listened to it now, I was like, "Man, that's the wrong mentality." I was rapping the wrong mentality because I was going to Atlanta to prove to other people instead of doing it for
For
myself.
you,
And
right?
right, and Code and Dope Paradigm and the new music that I plan to release, all this is for me, you know. So that's a better feeling. But like you said, I even look at that whole Atlanta trip because people always bring it up and they wonder what happened. It had to happen. I
Right.
think God
Absolutely.
made it happen to catch my attention because my ego was so bad that he was like, okay, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna protect you, but I'm gonna strip you all the way down so you can finally listen. And that's what
Right.
happened. When
And
you
that
30 years
happened.
old in your mama house, oh, you got nobody but God to listen to after that.
Absolutely. That definitely happens. So with that being said, what is your vision for Dope Paradigm? Like where are you trying to take it?
Me personally, I want to take it to a point where I can help artists connect with their fans better.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest thing. Now, my second layer will be teaching and showing, especially where we come from, that basketball, you know, football, music, coding's out there too, you
Right.
know, and it's a different thing, and the lane is still so young. Like if we think
Right.
about it, music, TV, movies, all those industries are over 100 years old. Apps just came out in 2008. So
Mm-hmm.
they're barely, you know, 12, 13 years old. So it's still wide open. And if a kid like me, who since was small, was always good at computers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, coding is still a thing too, and you can teach yourself. So that
Right.
would be my thing, is to inspire and show. And then it's not even just kids, it's anybody.
Right.
Like anybody can learn if you want to, and it's still a great industry and a great, you know, career. But help artists and just show people that, hey, you take the time with anything, and it's not just code. If you want to be a chef, if you take the time and learn, you could do it. Like that's to me what the symbol represents, is that I didn't quit, and then I turned an idea into a reality.
That perseverance, just continuing
Yes.
to go for it no matter what. Absolutely. So how many apps have you released?
Right now we're at two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first app I released was Quotes for Days, which is available in the App Store right now. It's just 365 of my favorite quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably update that one later this year. And then the next app is Mark D Beats, which is a music producer. It's a curated personal app where you can listen to just his beats. It comes out April 2nd next month. We're also releasing a single next month together. So
Mm-hmm.
we got a lot going on there. And then down the road, I plan on working. I already got some things rolling. Can't talk too much about them, but with a couple artists, we plan on doing some apps together. And then I got some outside of music apps that I'm releasing. So everything's moving forward.
Awesome, awesome. So that means that we have a lot to look forward to from Dope Paradigm, and I can't wait to see everything start to roll out. And just, you know, wishing you well and continue success on the rest of your journey. That is so amazing. So, with that being said, are you still releasing music?
Yes, music is still a thing. April 2nd, we're releasing a new app and a new single at the same time. So it's just doing something different. Mark D made the beat, and then I recorded it out here. Plan on shooting a video for it. So I think that's another thing with Dope Paradigm too. Also have that lane where if people want to know about releasing music, just
Mm-hmm.
I've been through if you when it comes down to it, I've released all types of music. I know the process. I can help people out, so that's why I would say dopeparadigm.com is the best way to reach me, and just
Right.
have a conversation. If it's like, hey man, I'm trying to record music, what should I do? All right, this is what I did at that point, because I've been recording music since I was 12. Pretty
Right.
sure I can help
And as
somebody.
long as I've been knowing you, you guys have been, producing music and just continuing to be there. And so to see you take something that you are so passionate about and not put your passions to the back burner, because I feel like for a lot of people, when we get into situations when it don't work out the way we see it or we envision it, instead of continuing to pursue something that we can do with that same category, we just let it be because we just feel like it's not for us. So the fact
Right.
that you were able to take it and just be like, you know what, but I can push my music and use that to help me with my coding experience and now create this fabulous business where you can intertwine both worlds. That's inspiration for a lot of people.
It's really it. You got to know when to pivot.
Right.
I'm at the end of the day, I'm not blind to it. I'm 30 plus years old. I'm an old rapper. This rap is a young man's game.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I know I'm not going to stop rapping. It's
Right.
something I'm passionate about. So I just knew when to pivot, and I was like, okay, what else am I good at? What else can I strengthen? And it was about strengthening that computer muscle and learning code. And
Mhm.
then at one day, I just look up and I'm like, wait, I can make apps that's specifically for music. So that's where it comes from. Yeah, you got to know when to pivot and keep doing what you love, because then that's when it stays fun.
Absolutely. So to what do you owe your success?
God, I would say that it as God, friends, family, um, not being scared to ask questions.
Hmm.
I think that's one thing I think is beautiful about the coding community. Shout out to Fireside Swift. That's a podcast I listen to.
Hmm.
Very good guys on there, and just they're so helping. And nothing against the rap community, but it's different.
Right.
Coding
Absolutely.
community.
Hmm.
When you ask a question, a lot of these guys are right there to answer. They won't do it for you, but they'll answer
But
it.
the answer
So
it. Absolutely.
yeah, and I think really is just God keeping that faith, the mustard seed, and just knowing when to check your ego and keep moving forward.
So with that too, I know that creating this business like the Dope Paradigm, how challenging it can be to be an owner and then to also be able to level up and manage both of the worlds, the artist industry as well as the coding industry. What has been one of your biggest challenges as a business owner?
Balance, balance between making sure the business gets done, but the apps and the music still get recorded, and the apps get made. What I would say is you have to write stuff down. You have
Mhm.
to use the
Planning.
remind man. If I was to tell you all the things I'd use, from the reminders app in the phone to whiteboards to OneNote to Evernote to composition notebooks to just pasting stuff in the mirror, like you
Hmm.
gotta make sure you're telling yourself and you planning. I got a calendar. You gotta write stuff down, because what there's a thing in code called Scrum where it sprints. So it's like you'll take a couple things you want to accomplish and you give yourself 2 weeks to do them,
Hmm.
and you try to knock them out in those 2 weeks. Either you get them done or you don't get them done. If you don't get them done, it moves on to the next one.
Right.
So I kind of use that a lot with everything. And then you also got to know when to stop.
Right.
So it's like the app's done. Don't do nothing else to the app. Go make sure you handling your business. The business is not about to fall apart because you've been spending all this time on the app. So it's really you plan your work and you work your plan.
Absolutely. And when you said that about it's called sprints.
Yeah, Scrum sprints.
The sprint, so like that's kind of like setting intentions, something that I talk about too on the podcast, because when you're very intentional about your intentions and you set them, you have to be mindful of making sure that you're knocking those things off your list. And at the
Hmm.
like, so for myself with my intentions, I do them every new moon. So on the new
Yep.
moon, when the next one rolls around, I look at my intentions, what I've done, I check off. If I haven't completed it, I push it to the next intention and I make a list of some more. That way,
Yep.
you can keep everything that you have aligned. But that balance is something that I know from experience, because I've had my own business before too, just managing those worlds, even when it comes to
Hmm.
friendships and everything else, like family, it can always
Hmm.
just be kind of tedious. So definitely sticking to that and being there. I think that that is an awesome
Yeah,
piece of advice.
this is my second business, so it you gotta know, you gotta. It's not real until you write it down. That's one thing I
Absolutely.
live by. You gotta write it down somewhere, and you gotta write it down somewhere that you're either gonna see a lot or you're gonna
Hmm.
check a lot. So until you start doing that, it's just an idea in the head. You gotta write it down.
So it almost kind of ties into your advice for someone who may be wanting to start off a new business or maybe wanting to get into the music industry. But I'm gonna go ahead on and give the floor to you to say if there was another piece of advice that you could offer to someone or give, what would it be?
Don't quit. Don't quit. Know your why. Know what you want. Be persistent, but also be flexible, because that's what I had to learn. I was very persistent in music, but I had to learn how to be flexible.
Right.
And once I got stripped down and became flexible, that's when everything started to flow. Do it for yourself. I think I listen to a lot of motivational stuff, and my thing is I don't want to be 70, 80 years old looking back wondering why. I like experiencing things. I like doing stuff. The music I've released, which, as you know, with so many different people, I cherish those, and I'm
Right.
glad I don't look back and wonder if. So you gotta know your whys. You gotta write stuff down and just don't quit, but know when to pivot. Sometimes
Absolutely.
you might be forcing it. Know when to pivot. Stay connected to God. Stay connected to that vibe. Stay connected to that dial, and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I think that is wonderful advice that you have given. And so I wanted to know also what makes Dope Paradigm unique.
What makes it unique is that it's a one-man shop, and I think also I won't quit. Like
Mm.
I'm gonna just be real, like straight up. I just taught myself code. I'm gonna be hard to argue with now because it's like I
Right.
know that it's possible, and I know I can show other people it's possible. Because if you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. I want to be that. Okay, if Eric, college dropout, you know, all these things that happened to me in Atlanta, if he can turn around and learn code and make this whole new business, then this next person can do the same thing.
Absolutely. I think that that is wonderful. And also, I have on my wonderful Dope Paradigm merchandise is outside of the coding, outside of just being like this awesome music producer, what other services do you provide? Like your apparel, anything, what else can people get from you?
The merchandise will be coming out April.
Okay.
Can't say when, but it is coming out April. That's something else that on the back end I do know a lot about. So if people ever had questions about releasing merch and just do's and don'ts, I'm always about giving advice and telling you the shops that I work with. Uh, I'm very good with Squarespace. That's another website I use to host my website and sell merch through.
Hmm.
But we have merchandise coming, we have apps coming, we have music coming, and we're willing to work with anybody or just help somebody. It's not always just about, you got to make money together. Sometimes it's just about giving
Absolutely.
information. All right, I love just helping somebody. If somebody wants to start something new, why not? Because
Right.
that's all I did. I wanted to learn how to code, and I did. So we gonna do some cool stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I can't wait for for you to release that merchandise out because not everyone is into want to have a small business, but some people are just going to listen to this podcast and they're going to be able to relate so much that they just want to show support. So definitely, once this merchandise is released on the website, make sure you follow him, which I'm going to get him to list this information. I will put it in the description bar so that you guys can get you some wonderful Dope Paradigm apparel.
Yes,
So how can
yes.
everyone connect with you so that they can just continue to grow with you and just watch your journey flourish?
It's BenG from the LPC on all social media: Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm heavy on Instagram.
Mhm.
There's a BenG from the LPC.com. That's where all my music can be found, all the links to every album. We do have a new single coming out before. That's the name of it. Before
Mhm.
drops April 2nd. That'll be there. And then dopeparadigm.com is where you can find all the apps and any other creative stuff. Me and Mark D have a lot of big plans to do with his app. I'm ready to work with any artist who thinks that they can benefit from an app. Somebody that wants to benefit from an app, hit me up. We can talk. Just to start the conversation. The
Right.
technology is there. Like there's no reason for us not to use this technology because it's all there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with me on my podcast. This has been a very enjoyable experience for me. Again, I'm going to be listing all of his contact information in the description box for anyone who may be wanting to get in contact or again just support him on his journey. Also, you guys can keep up with me by looking in the description box and clicking on my link tree. As always, if you love this podcast, please leave me a love donation. And until next time, everybody be blessed.
Peace.